Hello, my name is Brian Mackenwells. I'm the Public Engagement Person at the Wellcome Trust Centre for Human Genetics in Oxford. And if you ever really want to confuse the facilities team in a major scientific institution, what you do is, when they ask you, how would you like the meeting room to be set up, you tell them, I would like it to be set up for a dance rehearsal, please. And I wasn't confusing them just for fun, although it was a little bit fun. I was doing it because I had been approached by one of my researchers called Irina. And I'd always encourage my researchers to try and think of public engagement projects that relate to their interests outside of work, because it's a good way to get them out of the lab if you tell them they're allowed to work on their hobbies during work time. And she had come to me because before her postdoc kind of swept it away, she had always been interested in dance and had sort of done some bits and pieces of modern dance. And she was wondering whether it would be possible to do some kind of science engagement performance around dance. Now, science dance projects aren't brand new, so I asked around and I found a company called Flux Dance Company, who specialize in communicating science through dance, which is perfect. It's run by a woman called Charlotte Hale, who's brilliant. So I asked them to come up to Oxford to meet with my researcher to see if we could start to put together some kind of performance that we would do during the Oxfordshire Science Festival. The day her and her dancers came up, I was quite busy. There was lots of things on fire, basically, that I had to try and put out. So I sort of, once getting them started and introduced to each other, I sort of let them to it and went and dealt with these other sort of problems. And when I checked back in later that day, I had a quiet word with Charlotte, the dancer, and she said that she was nervous because my researcher wanted to try and use the dance to communicate the details of her research, exactly how this sort of molecular processes that she was working with work, by putting them in t-shirts and getting them to move around in the way that sort of the molecules do. And that sort of thing is fine and can work very nicely, but we were hiring professional artists, professional dancers who could really unlock the power of dance. And if you want to communicate the details of research, maybe dance isn't the best way to do that. Maybe it's probably better to do a talk or a workshop or a 4-year undergrad course and 3-year PhD. It's not, that's not what dance is sort of good at. It's not good at telling, it's good at showing. And that's what it's for. And if we didn't sort of crack this problem, telling versus showing, then the performance wouldn't do either very well and it would fail. And that wouldn't be very good for anyone. So the night of the performance itself, we were all pretty nervous, not just because it was the night of the performance, but because there was a mix-up with the venue, and we had to move rooms at the last minute, so there was a scrabble to get all the lighting, make sure that worked, and to make sure the space was big enough for this dance that they had been rehearsing for, months. But when the house lights went down and the stage lights went up, you could tell that they had really cracked it, and they had really sort of, through sort of a full weekend of the artists and the scientists working together, that they had managed to put together this piece which sort of showed the complexity of her work, but without needing to just explain the complexity of her work. She still got to do a little bit of explaining, but they incorporated it really beautifully. She would walk on, my researcher would walk on and sort of explain just very light touch, 1 or 2 sentences about, what the dancers were doing, these fantastic sort of acrobatic pieces that were related to the underlying molecular structures that she was looking at. But she would sort of explain it in 1 or 2 sentences and then sort of seamlessly integrate with it and become part of the performance herself. And it worked really, really nicely. And in the Q&A at the end, we had people who had come for the dance ask science questions and people who came for the science ask dance questions. So we kind of took that as a measure of its success, that we managed to incorporate those 2 things. And the whole project really showed us that if you work with professional artists, they can help you articulate the complexity of your work without you needing to just articulating the complexity of your work. So if you'd like to see it, we did record it as well. Come and find me at some point, and I'll show you where on our website we have it embedded, and you can watch the whole thing if you're curious. So thank you very much.